Right, so welcome along. This is Keith Roselle, Sales Marvel, and I do business-to-business sales training, including LinkedIn. Let me introduce you to my guest, John. John, over to you. Introduce yourself, please.
Hi, so I'm John Shardlow. My company is We Do Shots, and I'm a brand photographer.
Fantastic, thank you for that. And listen, I always major on LinkedIn, how important your profile picture is. And so what I thought would be fantastic if we get a professional photographer to come in and critique what we're talking about and tell you why things are the way they are and the human nature behind that. Okay, if that's all right. So first of all, John, forgive me, I'm going to go to share my screen to one of your key shots. Talk us through this, please.
Yeah, so this is fairly sort of typical of what you see with most headshots or profile shots. There's nothing wrong with it as such. It's a nice photo. You've got a lovely natural smile. It's well lit. But I think for me, I always look for a little bit more with a profile shot. It's nice to sort of see more of the person, more of what they do and who they are, as opposed to just a standard headshot that you generally see everywhere.
Yeah, brilliant. And in terms of asymmetry, talk to me a bit about asymmetry.
Yeah, so as we're chatting now, as we're coming across on camera, this is a perfect example of what not to do, because I'm staring straight at the camera, and with the best will in the world, it looks a little bit like a mugshot. So whenever I'm photographing people or portraits, I always try to generate a little bit of asymmetry, because naturally that's tends to be what we like as human beings. So even if it's just simply turning to the side with a head turned, it just introduces a little bit of asymmetry, shooting from a slight angle as well. It just looks a bit nicer and more natural as far as I'm concerned. So I would always be looking for some asymmetry in a profile photo, and would encourage people to do the same sort of thing, really.
Good shout, actually, and it avoids the sort of hostage situation or the passport shot that actually, because we don't, as human beings, we don't tend to engage with something like that, whereas the shots that you're recommending, we engage. It's more likely to stop you scrolling through your LinkedIn feed.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we're not sort of going for the prison mug shots.
Yeah, exactly right. Okay, shall I contrast that, or ask you to contrast that with the other photo that you've suggested?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, so this is another image from the same session, and as far as I'm concerned, it's a much more engaging profile image, because you can actually see more of what's going on. You can see the fact that you know, she's clearly some sort of therapist or massage therapist. She's still smiling. You know, you can still see that she's an approachable individual, but there's just a lot more going on, and you can instantly see from that image what she does, what's important, and also I think the care that she's taking with the client as well.
Yeah, there's a whole context that comes to mind there. We're seeing so much more than just, as you say, the photo of the person. We're seeing that person at work, and therefore what you can expect as a potential customer of that person.
Yeah, I think it's really about just trying to sort of tell the story, and the more storytelling that you can do, either with words or with images, the better. You know, people get to know you, ultimately like you, and trust you more as an individual before they pick up the phone or send you an email to inquire with you.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, these types of images, for me, I just think are a lot more engaging than the traditional headshot or the mugshot.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. Okay, is there anything else that you want to tell our viewers on this about photos?
Yeah, I think, you know, I could talk all day for it to be about it, to be perfectly honest. But there's a couple of things that certainly, if you're taking your own photos, your own profile photos, your phone camera or something, you can do a lot better just by paying attention to the lighting. So always use natural lighting. Make sure that there's a nice big window that's ideally sort of 45 degrees to your front. And try to sort of avoid, you know, going out in the middle of the day. If you're going to go outside and do it, you know, the best times are going to be an hour before sunset or an hour after sunrise if you like getting up early. And then also having some contrast or some color in your images as well. If you can use brand colors, that's brilliant. But also, contrast either with the background or even with sort of shapes and things like that. It's just so much more interesting to me than just looking at a plain background. It's just about having those little details in there that, as I said earlier, really start to sort of tell your story. And they can be subtle, or they can be a little bit more obvious, as we saw with Alison and her massage client.
Yeah, absolutely. So to sort of summarize, that has been fantastic. To summarize, John, I would say that we went from a regular, what I would call a regular shot, where probably non-professional photographers would be happy with a shot like that. Lighting's good. We can see exactly, you'd recognize that person in reception if they were waiting for an appointment with us. But here, you've really skillfully brought that to life, and we would absolutely know what's going on there and what your client stands for. So that's been fantastic. Thank you very much for that, John. Is there anything else you want to say, or how do people get hold of you if they want to?
The best thing to do is just head on over to my website, really, which would be www.wedoshots.co.uk, or just look me up, John Shardlow, on LinkedIn, and you can contact me there. But yeah, just to sort of build a little bit on what you said there, Keith, as well. There's nothing wrong with that first headshot profile image, like you say, if you're in a reception area or on an ID badge. But I think if you try to grab people's attention, especially online, I'd be looking for a little bit more personally.
I think that's right, and that's going to stop people scrolling. John, that's fantastic feedback. Thank you very much indeed. And here we go. So just as a reminder, if you go to John's website, which is www.wedoshots.co.uk, then you can get a hold, you see John's work there, and you can get a hold of him there. So thanks very much for watching, and we'll speak to you very, very soon. Thank you.
Thanks, Keith.